This is our Let's Talk series featuring the Bill of Rights.
Now, before we get started, we wanted to answer a question that you may or may not have. What exactly is the Bill of Rights?
The Bill of Rights is made up of the first 10 amendments in the U.S. Constitution. The story of how the Bill of Rights came to be is very fascinating and well worth studying. But the abbreviated version is that some people at the writing of the original Constitution believed that it wasn't specific enough to keep an overly powerful government from overreach. This fear led to the creation of the Bill of Rights, which more specifically means it lays out the rights of the people.
So, let's jump right in. The text of the First Amendment reads like this. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right to the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. As you can see, the First Amendment guarantees us freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, and freedom of petition. These are some of our fundamental rights as Americans, allowing us to live our lives without the fear of being forced into a particular religion, with the ability to speak freely, with the freedom of expression through media, with the freedom to assemble together and express ideas, and the right to send requests to the government and to speak out against injustice.
Today, we will mostly focus on freedom of speech, but Tahauny and I also want to touch on the rights laid out in the First Amendment. Freedom of religion guarantees that the government cannot establish a national religion and that no one can be persecuted or discriminated against for having their own religion. Freedom of assembly protects the rights for citizens to meet privately and publicly and to protest.
Freedom of the press means that the media isn't subject to undue restriction. For example, journalists are able to publish an article criticizing government officials without fear of reprisal. And authors and publishers are free to publish without fear of censorship or government interference. Freedom of petition means that citizens can petition the government without fear of reprisal, especially in ways like email campaigns or collecting signatures on a petition. Freedom of petition also guarantees a way for citizens, and not only elected officials, to participate in the government.
That's right. So now let's talk about freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is all about using your voice to be heard, and there have been several current events that question how far this freedom practically extends. For instance, can someone say anything that they want and be absolutely protected? Not exactly. One popular example is that no one can yell fire in a crowded theater and call it a harmless prank, because that speech was used to cause panic. It is generally concluded that while technically someone is able to yell fire in a crowded theater, they are not free from consequences from doing so.
Most workplaces also have restrictions on what type of free speech can be exercised in an employee capacity, because that free speech could potentially reflect back onto the company. The same idea can apply on a school campus. This is especially contentious given the popularity of social media. And there's been a lot of discussion recently, both privately and in the news, about how this particular part of the First Amendment should be applied in our digital 21st century world.
If you have questions about how freedom of speech applies to you as a student, you have amazing resources available to you, from your teachers to local law enforcement and government officials. They will be more than willing to answer any questions that you have and any specific questions about your rights as a citizen, both as a student and your future.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope that we answered some of your questions about how the First Amendment affects you, both now and after high school. We'll see you next time.